Hey guys, this is Jam of JamOnline.ph, and today we have in here the GameHub for Mac. So what is GameHub? Basically, just to make it easier for you guys, with GameHub, you can play your favorite Steam games or Epic games on your MacBook. Not just any Steam games and Epic games. These are Windows games that are running on a MacBook. Now, that's not the first time we have seen something like this. We heard a feature like this before. This is an application that was just released recently on a beta, but previously there was crossover, there was parallels that can run Windows basically, so you could run games on it. But basically, this one makes it easier for everyone to run Windows games on an M series Mac. So whether it's an Air, Pro, or even the Neo, you could run Windows games on your Mac with this application. Now, you might be curious, how does this work? Well, let me show it to you. So for our first game, we're gonna run Palworld. We're running it at low settings, no anti-aliasing, just to make it better. Just gonna show it to you, full screen, max FPS, and we're not even charging this one. So I just want to show you how it looks like. So this is Palworld. It's actually pretty smooth. However, as you can see, there were a little bit of lags a while ago, which I think needs a little bit of optimization, but the cool part in here is that this is extremely playable. I don't think I'll have problems playing Palworld on this. And considering that this is running on an M5 chip and it's an Air, not even a Pro, this is actually a pretty good performance on the MacBook Air. I was expecting that it would be a little bit laggy or like it will have a pretty bad FPS, but as you can see here in our options, graphics, everything is actually pretty great for its the specifications. Of course, we could even go for, let's go for something like medium, right? So this is gonna have this is gonna have a better graphics. This one's gonna have a little bit better graphics, and yet it's still actually it went smoother for some reason. This is way smoother than the low settings, which is kind of weird. But yeah, overall, playing Palworld on the MacBook Air M5 with 24 gigabytes of unified memory won't be a problem. This is running on epic settings, the highest settings that you can get, and it's a little bit laggy. The frame rates drop is significantly noticeable in this one, but still, it can still run it at the playable frame rates. So, not bad. But yeah, let's proceed to our next game. It's gonna be Horizon Forbidden West. We got in here the metal HUD. I was able to make it work, and we got in here our PS5 controller. We plug in our PS5 controller on our MacBook Air M5 so we could play this game without any problems. Now, as for the graphic settings, we've set it at low settings, at these settings, as you can see in here. Performance, much more performance, but the resolution is 1710 by 1112. I know this one is being blocked by the metal HUD. Let's try if we could change it. No, unfortunately I can't. And then we also use upscale method, FSR3 balance with frame generation. And yeah, it did help in the frames. As you can see, we're running at 26 frames, 25 frames per second. It really depends on where I am. But right now, you could see in here that the frames are dropping. And it's not as stable, but it's definitely playable. Now, here's the fun part. If we put this one or the resolution at a lower settings, this one would have a little bit of higher frame rate. So you can see it's now 29 to 30 from 25. And if we even, sometimes it's funny because whenever I remove the FSR, sometimes it even improves the frames, which is funny, right? So let's try this one. So right now it's a little bit of a frame drop at 27. It's so funny that sometimes it actually increases the frames when I'm removing that. But let's just find the best settings for this game. So So you can see we are now running at 43 frames per second. How did I do that? Well, I use a performance mode for the FSR3 on this one. And yes, despite using an ARM processor and despite using a Apple Silicon processor, we were able to use FSR3, which is really nice. And with the help of Game Porting Toolkit, we are actually getting a better frames on this one. And yes, this is really playable. Off camera, I was actually playing this game without any problems, and it feels like it's playing on my Steam Deck with this graphics. I don't have a really good graphics on this, but this one is really playable, so I really appreciate that one. So yeah, let's proceed to our next game. For our next game, it's gonna be one of the most famous game that involves, you know, dealing with some substance, and it's a schedule 1. So you can see in here our resolution is 1710 by 1112. Weirdly enough, that is actually the maximum resolution, but the MacBook Air M5's maximum resolution is around 2560. So I think that's a limitation, but you can see in here that we put it at highest settings. We're gonna put it in ultra actually, just to make it better, like looking better, right? So yeah, that is schedule 1. Now let's try playing this game. Let's see our frame rates on this. Alright, so with the highest settings, the FPS is only at 20 frames, and we're dropping right now, as you can see, to 18. Not really ideal, but let's see. Let's try putting it back to, let's say, a medium settings, right? Kind of ideal. And now we're playing it at 21 frames per second. Still not the best frames that you could get. It's more about the optimization. Sadly, Horizon Forbidden West was getting a better frames than this. So yes, still playable considering that this game is just, you know, dealing stuff, creating your base and creating substance and everything, but it's not ideal to have this frame rate. So now let's try putting it to the lowest settings. All right, this is running better than I expected. We're running Resident Evil 9 with the mentioned settings that I mentioned a while ago at 60 frames per second. Now it's dropping to 47 because, you know, a lot of details. But you can see in here, there's a lot of frame drops as expected. This is in GameHub on Mac on beta, but you can see in here that we're running it pretty well. And again, that's better than I expected. This is at 60 frames per second. We're getting at 58. Not bad. Not bad, actually. Not bad. Look at that. This is the part that we're getting a lot of rain and objects. A lot of things that are moving. Again, it's 1280 by 800. But it does look pretty great. And I really appreciate the design and the graphics of this one. Now, it's not the most ideal way to play it on the trackpad, but for some reason, the gamepad isn't working on this. You can see in here, look at that. A lot of moving objects in here. And we're still running at more than 50 frames per second, so that is actually pretty good news. And right now, it's 70. I'm expecting that we would be getting a higher frame rate once we're inside. As you can see on this, right now, we're running at 70 frames per second. There's less objects that are going on, less effects that are going on in this. So yeah, this is actually pretty good. Look, it's 71. And that's the thing. The controls are made for Windows laptops, so we have to adapt to that. So let's see. That's 51, 53. And yeah, I guess the major issue is that we're experiencing a lot of frame drops on all the games that we tried, but the M5 is a really capable laptop processor. We were able to run most of it without any problems. And there you go. Let's turn off the lights. There you go. We're even getting 76 frames per second on this, even up to 80. So we could even turn up the graphic settings if we wanted to. But right now, this is actually pretty good already. Let's see, before we exit this. There you go. So you can see 69, 68. That's actually pretty good. That's really nice. And considering that we have a thin and light form factor in here, I would love to play on my laptop once in a while, especially let's say I'm on a trip and I only have my Mac, well, it's possible to run Windows games without any problems on this laptop. So yeah, just take a look at the cutscene and we'll end this part. So yeah, I guess that is it for Resident Evil 9. So that is it for our video for today with GameHub for Mac. Again, GameHub is not the first, it's not their first time to do something like this. They've made an app called GameHub for Android as well, and it lets you run Windows games on your smartphones as long as it's running on Android and some processors. But it's really nice to see something like this on the Mac. It gives more options for consumers, crossover, parallels that's gonna run Windows, Wine, of course, and many, many more. But the advantage, I believe, of GameHub is basically making it easier for every consumers to run Windows games on, or even Epic games on your Mac, and I really appreciate that. Now, GameHub has also mentioned that they're gonna make it. A subscription base once it's out in the future. But right now, we're running on beta, so yeah, we're able to play these games for free. But to be honest, once they make it into a subscription base, I'll probably stick with crossover. And again, you can't run games like with anti-cheat like Valorant and other stuff like that. So basically, it's mostly single player games and some multiplayer games without an anti-cheat or kernel level anti-cheat. So yeah, I guess that's it for our short review of the GameHub for Mac on beta. This is promising, and I really can't wait once the final version comes out on this. And hopefully, we'll get a pretty reasonable subscription base on this one. So yeah, I guess that's it for our video for today. So if you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and be sure to click that subscribe button along with that bell button to get notified of our latest videos here in my YouTube channel. So once again, I'm Jam of JamOnline.ph. Thank you for watching and see you guys again in my next video.